Tintin XL 92.5 FM.
All right, welcome in. Thanks so much for joining us on the Frangie Show. Frank is out today. He will be back on Monday, but Hacker is here, kind enough to join us again. And you've got your show tonight, correct?
We do, yes. Hacker After Dark at 8 o'clock.
Busy guy.
Do my best, Hays. I do my best.
Yes, you do. You do a great job. JJ LaSelva is here. JJ, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Everybody good. I love it. I love it. We obviously we did the draft show. We're going to obviously talk a lot of Jaguars today. Lee Smith is going to join us, the executive director of the Players Championship, in our next segment. So we'll talk some golf with Lee. That's always a lot of fun. And we'll get into some Gators stuff as well. I want to ask you about the football team, the roster in general. But a lot of it's going to be Jaguars. We obviously did some Frangie shows leading up to the draft, and then obviously we did the draft kickoff show the night of the draft, and haven't talked since, really. So let's just start with Hacker. In your opinion, like what do you think they got accomplished? Did you like what the Jaguars were able to do between the draft class, the signing of Emmanuel Ogbah for that edge depth? Where do you kind of think it stands now?
Well, I don't know about you, but when they signed Emmanuel Ogbah, that was a very emotional moment for me. Because for 2 off seasons in a row, Trent Baalke just decided that we're not going to bring in a third edge. Right. It's going to be 41 and 44, and that's it. And James Gladstone changed that in less than 2.5 months on the job. I don't know if Emmanuel Ogbah has anything left. He had 5 sacks last year in Miami. But I like the fact that they at least brought in a third edge guy. You got Miles Cole. You draft Jalen McLeod, who had 8 sacks at Auburn last year in the SEC. So now all of a sudden, what room had very little to no depth has some bodies that maybe, I don't know, Hines Allen and Walker can come get a splash of Gatorade or water every once in a while and take a breath for a play or two. The overall draft, I liked it. I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of these head coaches on. John Summerall of Tulane joined me on Hacker After Dark. Caleb Ransaw's coach.
Yeah, what stood out to you about what he said about Ransaw?
But the one thing, there were a couple of things. Summerall, by the way, really impressive.
Yeah.
Really impressive. That guy's going to be a coach in the SEC sooner rather than later. Really enjoyed that conversation. You know how it works getting these college coaches on. Summerall just called me on his cell phone.
Wow.
It just called me, "Hey, Ryan, how you doing? John Summerall of Tulane." I was like, "Is this? No, it's my cell phone." All right, cool.
Awesome.
So I got John Summerall's cell phone now. What stood out to me about Ransaw actually was with him at Troy and then came with him to Tulane. So Summerall's had him for 3 years, 2 years at Troy and the last year at Tulane. Summerall told a great story that a week before the draft, Summerall was drafted last Friday. So 7 days before last Friday, so 13 days ago total, Summerall was at the Ransaw was at the Tulane practice facility with a couple of freshmen that were in town just working out in the football facility at 7 o'clock on a Friday night in New Orleans. What guy that's going to be drafted in the NFL draft is at the football facility on a Friday night at 7 o'clock helping 19-year-olds when he knows he's not even going to be their teammate next year because he's going into the NFL? So you talk about intangibly rich. That story about Caleb Ransaw from his head coach really stood out to me.
Do you think he's one of the starting safeties week 1?
I think he's going to play significantly now. He played primarily corner at Tulane. The idea is he's going to move to safety. The safety position is interesting because you sign Eric Murray. You figure he's one of the starters. But then Antonio Johnson, Darnell Savage, Dewey Wingard, now Caleb Ransaw. I mean, there's a lot of names there. Is there a legit competition for their starting safety? But to answer your question, I think Ransaw is firmly in the mix.
What did you make of the deal for Travis Hunter? And we talked a lot about it because the word was starting to kind of come out about their interest in moving up. And, I mean, I'll be honest, when we were doing the show, I was against giving up next year's one. But largely because, look, I wasn't sure how good they would be. But adding a player like Travis Hunter and pairing him with Brian Thomas Jr., and obviously if he can give you something as a defensive back as well, that's a nice bonus. But it was clearly a move that signaled to me that they believe they can win the division. And I can't wait to watch him develop.
No, I agree. I was like you. I was against it at the time. I think we talked about that last Thursday, a week ago today, before the draft. I was against it at the time. But, you know, the compensation thing is interesting. There's this national narrative that, the Jaguars gave up way too much, and this was a coup for the Cleveland Browns. Well, a lot of the hay is in the barn, right? We know that Cleveland took Mason Graham and 2 running backs, Dylan Sampson and Quinshon Judkins, with the picks the Jaguars gave him. Whereas Jacksonville ended up with Travis Hunter, ended up with Michelle Tootin from Virginia Tech, and ended up with Rayon Lane from Navy. So if I were to tell any Jaguar fan that before the draft last week, you can have Mason Graham and Quinshon Judkins, or you can have Travis Hunter, you would take Travis Hunter, I think,
yes.
10 times out of 10. Now, the question is that first rounder next year. Here's my thought on it. If the Jaguars, and I said this last night, if it's a top 12 pick next year, the Cleveland Browns win the trade. If it's 13 through 18, it's probably a wash. And if it's 19 or in the 20s, the Jaguars win the trade. So we'll have to find out when we ultimately see how the Jaguars do in 2025. But I didn't think the compensation was crazy. I love what Travis Hunter brings to this football team. It's interesting that, I'm going to talk about this later on Hacker After Dark, but we can even bring it up here. We're 4 months into the offseason. We've talked about the Liam Cohen saga as head coach, the James Gladstone intangibly rich ecosystem stuff, the Jaguars' most active team in free agency. Now we've spent over a week just salivating over Travis Hunter. It's kind of a big year for Trevor Lawrence, right? Coming into year number 5, and we're 4 months into the offseason, and we really haven't talked about how big this year is for Trevor Lawrence. Not that he's an afterthought, but there's been so many other things to talk about. He's not the primary focus anymore, which I think is kind of interesting.
Where do you see it going with Trevor Lawrence this fall?
Oh, I think Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. is an unbelievable combo because it looks like they're going to start him on offense. I love what Travis Hunter could do to get Brian Thomas Jr. open down the field. Not even to mention De'Ami Brown. I mean, you kind of forget about De'Ami Brown. We were all excited about De'Ami Brown before Travis Hunter. Parker Washington. I saw a video that Gabe Davis looks like he's, at least in the weight room. He's doing something, right, which I guess is good. We'll see what the situation is there. But no, I think Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr., I'm trying not to get too excited, but potentially you could have another T. Higgins, Jamar Chase situation here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I agree. And Frank had some great intel yesterday saying that they're over the moon for De'Ami Brown from what they've seen so far. And obviously they were excited to sign him, but have been even more buoyed by what they have seen so far and what they've been able to do in OTAs. Again, no contact, but at the receiver position, you can get certainly a good sense of, speed, athleticism, that kind of stuff, playmaking ability, catch radius. Liam Cohen, I thought it was interesting. He said on Friday, the day after they had selected Travis Hunter, that he was asked about how they will complement each other. And he's about Brian Thomas Jr. He said, just seeing him out on the grass this week, he's like, what a freak. Mm-hmm. I mean, just unbelievable. So that's where I am with it. Like, I just don't think defenses are going to be able to consistently keep Thomas and Hunter from getting consistent separation. Now, that doesn't mean the offense will be unstoppable, because that doesn't mean that the Jaguars are going to be able to hold up in pass protection. It doesn't mean that Trevor Lawrence is going to diagnose the defense like he needs to and find the right person. But from a separation standpoint, I mean, it may be among the best in the league, because even you mentioned Chase and Higgins, and they're a phenomenal duo, obviously. But Higgins isn't really much of a separator. Now, obviously, Jamar Chase does it all. But Higgins is a great catch radius guy, jump ball, 50-50 guy. I don't know that – I mean, Thomas and I think Hunter have some of that, because Hunter's got elite hands, and we've seen BTJ just, make some incredible plays over defenders. But to me, if Hunter can acclimate to the NFL level, and I think he can, the only issue with Hunter, I think, will be durability. If he is out there, I think he is a big-time player. I would be shocked if Travis Hunter is just a so-so receiver in the NFL.
No, I agree. I think, and you're right, durability is the biggest question. A couple of things. I talked to Cecil Shorts earlier today. We're going to play that conversation tonight. And he played 7 years as a wide receiver in the NFL, obviously. He doesn't think that Travis Hunter, from a tired standpoint, that there'll be much of that. He played over 100 snaps in Boulder, Colorado at elevation. Obviously, the NFL is a different game, but the NFL is a slower game. TV timeouts. A lot of teams aren't doing the hurry up, the spread or whatever. So from that standpoint, he thinks Hunter's going to be fine. Cecil's point was there's only 24 hours in a day. You have to know that playbook inside and out as a wide receiver. You have to know the DB you're going up against, the nickel you're going up against, all the tendencies of the opposing defense, what the linebacker blitzes look like of the opposing defense. If you need to crack down on a defensive end on this particular toss sweep, you need to know all of that going into a Sunday. And then you need to know everything on your defensive game plan as well. Every wide receiver you're going up against. What's the halfback like on toss sweeps? The tight end, does he like button hooks or seam routes? I mean, it's insane. You know, we talk about can he play 100 plays? And yeah, that's the conversation. Cecil's point is there's just literally not enough time in a week where you could play, in his opinion, full-time snaps at offense and full-time snaps on defense without there being some miscommunication, which could cause problems out there.
Well, and that's a great point, because the other thing, too, is you don't want to start tendencies where when Travis Hunter is in the game, does it limit what you do? And the ultimate example of that was a player like Tim Jones, the great special teams ace, but was also a receiver. And when Tim Jones was in the game, you always knew it was a run. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what their run probability was with him in the game, but I can guarantee you it was over 90%. And that's the kind of stuff schematically you want to try to avoid, is not tipping your hand because of who's in. Jamal Agnew was an example of that. If Jamal Agnew was in on offense, you kind of knew high percentage he's going to be involved in the play. We don't see as much of that on the defensive side, but we don't see as much of that because we've never seen a situation like this where a player would be preoccupied with offensive assignments and the mental challenge of knowing all of that, but then also have to then translate and learn what the opposing offense wants to do, getting the quarterback tendencies, the receiver tendencies, and things like that. So it will be interesting to see, really how Campanile goes about employing him defensively. If there's certain things that early on, at least, they can't really do, because he's, you can't make a mistake. I mean, if he doesn't know the assignment, it's a touchdown if the opponent sees it. So, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Travis Hunter is able to acclimate with that role, because we know he's going to have the role. I mean, the Jaguars have said, he's got a vision for what he wants to be. We're aligned with him in that vision of playing on both sides of the ball. And, Gladstone has talked about, this is a player that doesn't just change games, it can potentially change the trajectory of the sport. Mm-hmm. So, I think and look, if he's able to do it, he's going to be in the MVP conversation. If Travis Hunter is a A- receiver and a B+ corner, how could he not possibly be in the MVP discussion?
I saw one of the books in Vegas had him as the third best odds for offensive rookie of the year and third best odds for defensive rookie of the year. And I think the way it's going to land, Hays, is like, all right, full-time wide receiver. I think probably 15, 20 snaps on defense, probably to start. Dime package, maybe big-time situations at the end of half, the end of the game. But again, communication. If Travis Hunter's in those offensive meetings and learning the game plan on offense, does he know enough in the defensive meetings and the defensive game plan to be able to go out there and not have a miscommunication with Tyson Campbell and Jordan Lewis and Jarian Jones and understand what he's doing? Because, again, it's not like Madden football. There's not, 5, 6, 7 plays that you call every time. I mean, these playbooks are enormous. The game plans every week are just unbelievable to know and execute. So that, to me, and talking to former players, that's going to be his biggest obstacle. And quickly back to the offensive point, I'm not going to, be a hypocrite here. I said last week I wanted big uglies, and they drafted a couple of them. Wyatt Milam, obviously. I got a funny story about him. I'll share with you in a bit. But your offense is only as good as your offensive line. I don't care how good Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. are. They could be wide open 50 times a game. If Trevor Lawrence is getting killed, it's not going to matter. So whoever the 5 guys are on the starting offensive line, that's as good as the Jaguar offense is going to be, as good as those guys play.
Yeah, it's a great point. And we're going to talk Jaguars at 5 o'clock, get back to this. And I can't wait to hear about the Wyatt Milam story. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll talk a lot about the Jaguars offensive line at 5 o'clock. But coming up next on the Frangie Show, we're going to switch it to golf. Lee Smith, the executive director of the Players Championship, will join us. Lots to get to. We've got the Byron Nelson this week. Scheffler's in the field. Spieth is in the field. Kind of still hoping Spieth can find some magic. Maybe he'll be inspired by Justin Thomas getting back in the winner's circle and snapping a 3-year drought a couple weeks ago. I want to talk about the Ryder Cup because to me, the American side really looks like shaky compared to what Europe has. And obviously we'll talk Rory McIlroy with the PGA Championship just right around the corner in Charlotte. So lots to get to with Lee Smith coming up. You're listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
Get a Gator baseball chomp on 1010XL.
The Gators would love to make a weekend meal out of the Gamecocks. Florida, South Carolina. Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday afternoon on 1010 AM.
Hi, folks. I'm Frank Frangie. If you have a sweet tooth like me, the sweetest desserts in town come from Spoonful Bakery. Spoonful is an online bakery. They deliver boxes of assorted desserts right to your home or office. They're so good, and they make for great gifts for friends or clients. And if you want custom orders, wedding cakes or birthday cakes, or catered desserts for an event, they are the best. Log on to spoonful-bakery.com or call them at 904-515-4984. That's Spoonful Bakery for the sweetest desserts in town.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town, setting the standard in our hometown. Quality service, the best around. Coolidge is the cat that cares about your heating and about your air. Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece. Premium flooring, take our advice. Home business, affordable price. Driveways, pool decks, garage doors, beautiful patios, and more to explore. Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Go ahead and dial it.
Dial what? When you call in your opinion or hear an interesting interview from a sports insider on Jaguars Today or XL Primetime, you're getting it straight from the Checkmate Coatings phone line all day, every day on 1010XL.
Mother's Day is coming. Don't run out of time. Small Cakes has sweets she'll love from you and the kids. Mention 1010XL to get 10% off now until Wednesday. Cupcakes to brownies to ice cream. Customize it so it's unique to mom. SmallCakesJacks.com.
Free Comic Book Day. Hey, I'm Ben Kay, owner of Gotham City Limit, your local comic shop, inviting you to the Community Party of the Year, Saturday, May 3rd. Free comics, free food, huge discounts, and more. Let's take Free Comic Book Day to the limit. Gotham City Limit.
The experts at AMCO have been fixing cars for almost 60 years. Over that time, they've gotten more complex than ever. That's why our techs undergo rigorous training and certifications, so they can fix anything, including the most complicated repairs that come with some of the latest technologies. After 60 years, there's nothing we haven't seen or fixed. It's how we know cars inside and out.
Money tight? We can finance almost anybody. Find the AMCO transmissions nearest you at AMCOJacksonville.com.
What defines a hero? Dedication, loyalty, courage. Every day at AMCO, we serve heroes. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. From complex transmissions to simple brake jobs with flexible financing and the extra safety precautions we need. The heroes we serve don't all wear uniforms. They're people like you. At AMCO, we're proud to serve all of you. AA MCO.
Family owned and operated in Jacksonville, Orange Park, St. Augustine, and St. Mary's, Georgia.
It's your main man E.T. and Monday is Cinco de Mayo at Twin Peaks with a costume party on May 5th, specials on tequilas, cervezas, and even wine. And I'm hearing the servers are going to bring the spicy costumes too. Twin Peaks for Cinco de Mayo, where the party gets spicy.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years, and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
All right, fellas, I got to brag a little. I'm down 40 pounds thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss and keeping it off.
That's cute, Matt. I'm down 110 pounds. That's like losing a Backstreet Boy.
Okay, so I'm the rookie here. I just started, but I'm already down 13 pounds, and let me tell you, it feels good to see the results already.
That's the thing, man. Awaken 180 works. No shots, no meds, no gimmicks, just real food, real support, and real results.
The support team is a game changer because we all know it's so easy to get distracted. But with Awaken 180, you get your own coach and a plan that works with your lifestyle.
And free support for life.
Plus, no gym workouts required, which is great because let's be honest, I wasn't running wind sprints either.
25, 40, even 110 pounds. If we all can do it, so can you. Call 844-346-1800 or visit awaken180weightloss.com.
That's 844-346-1800 or awaken180weightloss.com.
Summer in Jacksonville is coming in hot. Lauren Brooks here. Beat the heat with Turbo Tint. Their window tint blocks up to 99% of harmful UV rays and keeps your ride cool and comfortable. Book today at orangepark.turbotint.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Stanley Pools Thursday on The Frangie Show. Since 1988, the experts in pools, pavers, screen enclosures, it's Stanley Pools.
We certainly appreciate our friends at Stanley Pools. Welcome back to The Frangie Show. Hacker is here. JJ is here. I'm Hays Carlyon. And Lee Smith is here, Executive Director of the Players Championship. It's great to see you. What'd you think? Before we get to golf, Travis Hunter, are we excited about this?
How can you not be, Hays? You know, I think the opportunity when you look at Liam and James Gladstone and Baselli to obviously just part of it is merchandising and marketing, right? And to create just the excitement, make a bold move, all of those types of things, I think certainly excites the sports landscape and all of us Jags fans here. And then now he's just got to prove it.
Yeah,
stay durable, be available, and go do what he does.
Yeah, that's one of the things, Travis Hunter, obviously, but for a 34-year-old general manager and James Gladstone, who's been here 2 months, to put your stamp on the organization by pulling off a bold move like that, like you said, I mean, that's incredible work by Gladstone. We'll see how it works out ultimately, but for the here and now, I tip my cap to him.
Well, look, Intangibly Rich is circulating through the PGA Tour headquarters also. Don't get me wrong, especially if we see success. I mean, it's going to be everywhere.
I'll tell you a great story. I was telling Hayes, so I'm watching the draft on Saturday, and my mom, who's not really a big football fan, but she's interested because she knows obviously what I do. She goes, "How are the Jaguars doing?" And I go, "They're drafting intangibly rich people to bring into their ecosystem." Her response was, "Have you been drinking?" She had no idea what I was talking about, but that's the reaction. That's what I said to her. That's James Gladstone's MO. That's what he's bringing into this organization.
That's right. No, just listening to him talk, I mean, I think the opponents probably go, "What is this?" But then when you're a fan of the club, he's one of those that, hey, I'm glad he's on our side.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, in terms of, looking at it, the PGA Tour and things like that, as we get really to a incredibly captivating part of the season with the PGA Championship just right around the corner. We were talking in the break, obviously, how well it sets up for Rory, the Masters champion. But this week, the Byron Nelson, which is a tournament that's got such a great heritage. Byron Nelson, the model of integrity on the PGA Tour. I mean, again, this is why the PGA Tour is important. To honor Byron Nelson. That is at the heart of this tour. The greats that have come along that have helped build it. Really cool to see Scotty Scheffler in the field this week. And Hacker, you were saying he's off to an unbelievable start. 7 under through 9. But what a great event on the tour. It's not one of the signature events, but in terms of the Byron Nelson, what a special place on the tour.
Yeah, look, I think the Byron Nelson being recognized like this in like you say, it's not a signature event, but putting his name on an event like Arnie has his event and Jack has his event and Tiger has his event, I think just represents, like you say, what golf is all about. You also take it to the next level. CJ Cup is the sponsor this week, and they're a Korean company that has seen the value in the PGA Tour, and imagine that they're sponsoring an event in Dallas, Texas, right? And so just everything that the momentum really that the tour has right now, fan engagement, player alignment. All of those types of things through the first 4 months of the season. Now it's certainly been really, really good that we've had great weather, and it's really good with great winners and all those types of things to ride the momentum. And now, as you mentioned, Hays, this week in the schedule, I think it's the next 7 weeks. We've got 3 signature events and 2 majors. So. Wow. Really starts to talk about what starts with the Players Championship and is really championship season, bookended by the playoffs.
Lee Smith, the executive director of the Players, with us here on 1010XL. Speaking of Scotty Scheffler, maybe it's just me, Lee, but almost every week I look at the leaderboard and I see Scotty Scheffler there. And not only is he performing well, the guy plays a lot of events for a number 1 ranked player in the world. I mean, I know there was all the talk about Tiger back in the day not playing as many events as people would like him to. Scheffler seems to play a lot of events when it comes to the tour.
Yeah, I think, look, sometimes when you get off to a great start, and we were talking a little bit in the break, Scotty's playing so horrible that he's 3rd in the FedEx Cup standings this year, but he doesn't have a win. And sometimes you feel like you got to catch up a little bit. He's looking up, even though he's 3rd, he's looking up at Rory with a Players, a Masters, a signature event win without a win. So sometimes you're looking, hey, I got to play catch up. And then you add in the incentive the tour provides to play in an event that you've never played before, and this happens to be in his backyard and playing a golf course he's familiar with and sleeping in his own bed. It makes sense. But to your point, Hack, it's he does play a lot. He seems like a machine.
Jordan Spieth in the field this week, and I'm not sure because I haven't looked at the leaderboard, so I'm not exactly sure where he is in his round or how he shot today. But I'm curious about him moving forward because he's so close with Justin Thomas, who obviously just snapped his 3-year winless drought. And it does seem like sometimes there's a little bit of give and take, even with Spieth and Thomas. They were sort of trading big-time wins there. Spieth got off to the really crazy start, and then JT kind of caught up to him. Am I drawing too much there? Is now that we're seeing Justin Thomas improve his game, do you think maybe that translates over to Spieth a little bit?
Absolutely. I think it provides motivation, right? You're thinking a little bit. I think Justin Thomas used to talk about it when Spieth got off to winning the majors that he did, and Justin Thomas was winning tournaments but wasn't winning majors, that he looked at Spieth as what he wanted to get to. I think there was probably half jealousy, half motivation. And now with Justin Thomas kind of knocking off the winless streak, and Spieth having his moments, he just hasn't really been consistent in putting it together. He you see him, he putts. Sometimes he's looking at the hole on short putts. Sometimes he's not. I think he's trying to figure things out coming off the injury. But I can't imagine that a good friend of his winning a golf tournament doesn't provide motivation and really kick him in the backside to get it going.
There's no doubt the PGA Tour is always top of mind, particularly in a market like Jacksonville where the Players is. But Rory doing what he's done already. Now, he's not playing this week, but obviously all eyes will be on him with the PGA Championship. Of course, he's done very well at. He's done well where the U.S. Open's being played, and then the Open Championship over across the pond is in Northern Ireland. I mean, we saw special seasons with Tiger. this potentially for Rory Lee could be a special season for the tour.
Legendary, right? It pencils out. He's at the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. I think he's won 4 times, 4 top 10s, and a runner-up. So certainly he's going in there with really, really good feelings. Even, you hear about those places, the horses for courses type of thing, that even when you don't have your good stuff, you feel good pulling in there because, like, I got all the history on my side. And Quail Hollow is really a big ballpark. Rewards, the way that he hits the golf ball off the tee. Oakmont with the U.S. Open is the exact same thing. And then, as you said, imagine what the storylines could be, not just in golf, but in all of sports, if he arrives at Portrush in his home country with home fans type of thing. Having a grand slam and a player's in his back pocket to try to finish off a season. I mean, that'd be unreal.
I saw the updated Ryder Cup standings, and I felt a little bit better after Justin Thomas won because I think he got into the 6th. But once you get beyond like Scheffler, Xander, Morikawa, I wasn't dazzled by what our team has. Is that a concern or not? Am I overreacting to it?
Yeah, I don't think this far out. I think you got to consider obviously like a Bryson and a Brooks Koepka that could slot in there in a couple of places from the other tours. And it was certainly the first 3 or 4 months of the season has really kind of written a story of Sepp Straka even at Austria winning, and Thomas Dietrich from Belgium winning, and some of those types of things that the Højgaard brothers who have gotten Ludwig, it certainly has penciled in from the winner's circle out there to be a kind of European positive right now. But I think we've got some majors to play. We got quite a few months, and then don't forget we're playing in New York, and so we've got a USA. That's going to probably be as brutal of a crowd that you're going to see in golf, and as partisan as it can be. So yeah, I think it's probably a little early, but I don't think you're wrong in saying that if it were played tomorrow, that the Europeans would probably have an advantage.
Give us an update. What's going on with the Players Championship? Anything new that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, no, we're working on a lot of things, taking a lot of our priorities throughout this, that come out. I've talked on here about surveys and feedback and, using some innovation and some technology that hopefully will feed into the 26 event. Taking some of our hospitality products like Players Club and a couple other things around 17, some surprises that we're really digging into. How we can expand inventory? The demand around being around 17 throughout the tournament is so high that it only makes sense for us to, how can we create more space? And I don't think they're going to let me make the whole 180 yards long to create more space. So, you either got to go up, you got to go out, those types of things. But, it's a good problem to have, and we're working hard on that.
And you've got a really fun week you were telling us about next week. You'll be checking in by phone, but tell us what you'll be doing next week.
Yeah, our friends from the Players Championship at Nemours Children's Hospital have a couple of Pro-Am spots up at the Truist Championship up at Philadelphia. So, and they invited me to go up and play with them. So I look forward to flying up to Philly and playing Philly Cricket Club. Our team at the PGA Tour and Championship Management, now PGA Tour Events, we're operating that event. So a lot of the team that I work with at the Players are operating that event. So look forward to playing the golf course while they're outside the ropes working. I'm inside the ropes playing a little golf, maybe a Michelob Ultra here and there. But no, going to have a good time and call you right from the grounds.
That sounds great. We can't wait to hear all about it. Lee Smith,
you got it.
Thanks so much for stopping by, Executive Director of the Players Championship. When we come back on the Frangie Show, we will get into college football. I want to get Hacker's thoughts on the Gators, the roster, how it compares to other possible elite teams in the SEC. You're listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
With the Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Dan Hicken.
It's good to be the king.
and you know Jeff Prosser.
It's about gaining control of your life and letting go at the same time.
Mornings on the Drill.
You sure you're not making this up as you go along?
On 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here. Nimnick Chevrolet is proud to be an 8-time Chevrolet Dealer of the Year recipient, the only dealership in Northeast Florida to ever win this prestigious award. Earned by treating customers with courtesy, respect, and fairness, all part of Nimnick's Treating You Right guarantee. Visit nimnickchevy.com to learn more. For 3 generations, Nimnick has been the place customers keep coming back to. I've been buying my vehicles from Nimnick since 1982 because they care about their customers and are invested in our local community, including supporting walk-off charities, and all we're trying to do to help underprivileged kids learn to play baseball. Treating you right, giving back to the community, more choices and better prices for you. So who has put the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer is simple. Nobody but Nimnick. Visit their showroom off Cassett Avenue or shop 24/7 at nimnickchevy.com. Head to Nimnick today. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
This is Mark Nato. My son Justin injured his hand playing baseball for JU. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist performed surgery just a few days later, and within 5 weeks, he was cleared to play in the ASUN baseball tournament. Our family has trusted Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for years. For any orthopedic injury, let Southeast Orthopedic Specialists take care of you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Are you looking for the best lunch specials in town? Check out One Night Taco Stand. They have bold and flavorful options on your favorite Mexican dishes at prices you can't beat. Try the Taco Trio. Choose any 3 of their specialty tacos or street tacos for just $9.99. Find a Taco Tuesday special every day at One Night Taco Stand, Mandarin, Orange Park, and Southside at Bay Meadows.
I'm Max Fink. Join me for the Gator Report on 1010XL as I break down the latest storylines in Gator Nation.
Put together by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators. 1010XL.
Go Gators! Ladies and gentlemen, it's the trumpet call heard round the world. Experience the thrill of the Kentucky Derby at Best Bet. Saturday, May 3rd, witness the most exciting 2 minutes in sports and dive into the action with live wagering. This could be your lucky day. Mark your calendars and join us at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, or St. Augustine on May 3rd for the Kentucky Derby. Visit bestbetjacks.com for more details. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Need the right tools for the job without the full-time price tag? Tucker Equipment Rentals in Neptune Beach is what you need when you need it. From heavy machinery for commercial projects to weekend projects at the house, we've got you covered. We've been serving Jacks for 50 years. Visit Tucker Equipment Rentals in Neptune Beach, just behind Aqua East Surf Shop, or call today. We also have event rentals too. Tucker Equipment Rentals. Tools you need without the price tag of purchasing.
Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When you need help with any plumbing, septic, or AC issue, just give us a call and relax. We'll send one of our first-round draft picks to tackle your problems today. DuckDuckRooter.com. That's DuckDuckRooter.com.
Meet our newest players. 1010XL Draft Profiles are brought to you by Wicca Candle Bar.
If speed was a need in Jacksonville, they revved up their engines when selecting Bashal Tootin in day 3 of the draft from Virginia Tech. Tootin ran a 4.340 at the Combine, which would be marked as the fastest amongst the class. Many awe at his explosiveness despite his frame, as well as his potential to become a starting caliber running back with 3-down value.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here for John's Auto. They've been a staple in Jacksonville going all the way back to 1985. At John's Auto, they service all makes, all models, cars, trucks, diesel, you name it, they do it. Whether it's routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul. Call John's Auto on Arlington Road. That's 904-743-3857 or go to johnsautomotivejacks.com.
Life is just so busy this time of year. Between work, the kids' games, family vacations, I need a yard hero to free up my weekends.
You mean somebody who does mowing and trimming?
Yeah.
How about mosquito control?
Yeah.
What about irrigation and pet waste removal?
You do that too? You're my lawn hero.
Find your lawn hero at heroeslawncare.com. Heroes Lawn Care, because every lawn needs a hero.
It's not too late for a deep spring cleaning on your home. Give my friends at Zero Res a call. May Mayhem. 3-room special starting at $149, plus the 4th room is free. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com and tell them 1010XL sent you.
Zero Res. Pro 10XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Stanley Pools Thursday on The Frangie Show. Since 1988, the experts in pools, pavers, screen enclosures, it's Stanley Pools.
I love when he plays this song. Welcome back to The Frangie Show. Hacker is here. Frank is out this week. The rest of this week, he'll be back Monday. JJ is here playing a little Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. I'm Hays Carlyon. That was Lee Smith. Really enjoyed talking golf with Lee. And it will be really exciting to see what the next month holds and if Rory can really make a charge at the Grand Slam. But Hacker, I want to talk about the Gators because we're starting to see these early mock drafts, and it's really the first time I can remember since probably 15 years where you're seeing 4 different Florida players being mocked in the first round. We've seen defensive tackle Caleb Banks. We've seen left tackle Austin Barber. Mm-hmm. We've seen defensive end Tyreek Sapp. And we've seen center Jake Slaughter. Now, again, maybe none of those 4 guys end up being first-round picks. I mean, there's so much, to be seen before we get to that. But it speaks to me of not only that they've got 4 players that are being mentioned, but they're all big guys. They're all trench guys. And so I was talking yesterday with Frank about this, and I want to get your opinion. If you believe in DJ Lagway, and I do, that he is going to develop into a very elite, if not the best college quarterback in the country, certainly one of the most explosive, I'm not sure, other than Texas, who the Houston Chronicle reports is spending $35 to $40 million on their football team for this coming season. Other than Texas, I'm not sure there's a roster that I would trade Florida's for. Now, there's a lot of head coaches I might in terms of how they manage a game, but where do you see the Gators right now? In your opinion, do they have the talent that compares with the Georgias, Alabamas, LSUs, and potentially the Longhorns?
I think the fact that we're even having this conversation goes to show you where this roster is compared to years past. Because I agree, there is a conversation to be had. It's Napier's best team since he's been at Florida, no question about it. And I go back to the 4 guys that you mentioned, Banks, Sapp, Slaughter, and Barber. Keep in mind, those 4 guys all could have very easily been drafted last weekend in the NFL draft. Maybe not first-round picks, but they all would have been selected, yet all 4 of them decided to come back. And when that happened, I was like, all right, Florida has won the offseason. No matter what happens in the transfer portal, no matter what happens in recruiting, the fact that you got 4 future NFL players, 2 on the O-line, 2 on the D-line, to come back is a great haul for Billy Napier. And then, of course, you add Dallas Wilson, you add all these other guys. So the roster itself can absolutely compete. The schedule's brutal, as you and I talked about. Games 3, 4, 5, and 6, 3 of which are on the road, at LSU, at Miami, home Texas, at Texas A&M. There's no way to slice that. That is brutal. I would probably take 2-2 right now in those 4 and head to the hills. But having said that, the roster can certainly compete in those games. And, yeah, I don't think it's far-fetched to say Florida has one of the best rosters in the SEC.
We saw the video of DJ Lagway throwing to our good friend Denny Thompson. How do you feel now about Lagway? Obviously, we talked a lot about, potential. Mark Long joined us from the AP and sort of had a concerning viewpoint of where it might go. But do you feel better about Lagway health-wise, seeing him? I mean, we're still months away from the next meaningful game that Florida will play. How are you feeling about the Lagway progression?
I mean, for what it was an indoor throwing session. I'm happy it was something involving throwing because maybe that puts a little bit of the minds at ease when it comes to Gator fans, etc. Look, if DJ Lagway is good, Florida's going to be good. And if DJ Lagway's bad, Florida's going to be bad. They pay me for this knowledge. I mean, they pay me to really tell this to the masses here in Jacksonville.
Let me write that down.
Yeah, you can't really get this insight anywhere else. It's going to come down to DJ Lagway because they don't really have anything behind him, which is concerning, the way DJ Lagway got injured last year, and we know about the hamstring and obviously the shoulder issue. But if he stays 100%, I mean, this Florida team can compete with darn near anybody in the country. And there's a lot of newcomers that I'm excited about. We mentioned Dallas Wilson.
What will he be in year one?
I heard people after the spring game saying he's going to be Florida's Jeremiah Smith. I would pump the brakes there.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Smith is a once-in-a-maybe-generation type wide receiver.
80% of Jeremiah
Right.
Smith.
I would take 45% of Jeremiah Smith in year one for Dallas Wilson. I don't know what that says about the Gators secondary either. It's great that he had 10 for $190 and 2 touchdowns in the spring game. He did that against your secondary, mind you. So it's a little good and bad. I think he's going to be very good. And look, I think Verno Brown, Nashawn Montgomery, they got some really nice freshman wide receivers. Very curious to see about Trey Wilson, if he's fully healthy from the injury. Sturdivant, the transfer from UCLA. And, you know, all the talk about Jaden Ball, and I love Jaden Ball, I like a little Jacoby Jackson as well. You tend to forget about him. He did pretty well at the end of the year. People were talking about Montrell Johnson and Jaden Ball. Well, Jacoby Jackson was in the mix as well. So on offense, they're stacked. Defense, I have some concern about the interior D-line, although I like the guy they just added from Baylor, a big 300-pounder, Bet, I believe is his name. So, look, it is what it is. I'm probably at the point now where I'm going to say Florida's an 8-4 football team, and I think they're in the conversation for a playoff in the month of November, which I think most Gator fans, you should take right now. Could the 1 or 2 games swing their way to turn into 9-3, 10-2, and be in the playoff? Yeah, that could happen. But likewise, 1 or 2 games could fall through the cracks. They end up being 6-6, and Napier might be gone at the end of the year. So I'm going to set the over-under probably at 8. If I did that, if I said 8-4, would you take that right now?
No.
You would not take 8-4.
I wouldn't take it because I think they've got a chance to be special. I mean, you know, I think if DJ Lagway becomes a top 5 player in college football and is mobile, which we've never seen since he was hampered pretty much immediately with the hamstring injury, I mean, I think they can be, from a talent standpoint, electric on offense. Now, I don't know if, you know, Billy Napier will hold them back as a play caller, but, I mean, Jaden Ball, I think, has a chance to be in the All-American conversation for one of those teams, and certainly in the All-SEC conversation. I think they've got good depth in the backfield, so I think they'll be able to run the ball. You bring back 4 starting offensive linemen, and the guy that you're not bringing back might have been your worst one in the right tackle who didn't get drafted.
Right.
So, you're probably going to be the same or better at right tackle, and you've got 4 guys that were starting last year you can depend on, and I think the receivers could be ridiculous. I mean, Dallas Wilson to me looks like Terrell Owens, like in terms of how he plays. Now, again, and his body, like, long for being a freshman who just got on campus. I mean, he looks like he's in his 3rd year of playing college football.
I agree. My thing with Dallas Wilson, and I'll lump in Vernell Brown and Nashawn Montgomery with this as well, and you know this, man. Freshman wide receivers, you just never know. Like, I remember how excited we all were about Aiden Mizell and Andy Jean, and Trey Wilson was kind of the afterthought, if you'll remember. Trey Wilson turned out to be the best of those 3. Jean is gone, and Mizell hasn't really lived up to expectations. So I love what Dallas Wilson did in the spring game when he's in Baton Rouge in September, and there's 100,000 LSU Tiger fans in there at night probably. I'm curious how Dallas Wilson will perform in that environment. If he's good again, then we have something to talk about.
Right, and the schedule is certainly brutal. And if they go 8-4, I think I think it's hard to be overly disappointed in that. Although this is the last year that we can say that, assuming the league relaxes the schedule. You're not going to be playing Miami. That home and home is over. And I don't think they've got anything scheduled beyond the Miami series because they had things scheduled and they had to cancel all of them when the conference expansion realignment went wild. So my guess is next year's schedule is, 3 cupcakes and Florida State. And I would imagine the 8 games they're going to play in the SEC are going to be, it'll still be difficult, but it'll be less of a challenge than what it's been the last 2 years. I like the defense. I mean, again, to have Sapp and Banks, if they have to stay healthy, but I think you've got a great foundation there up front. I really like the linebacking core, all the linebackers that they have that are young that I think are ready to take a step forward, including Pup Howard from here in Jacksonville. And the secondary certainly was very beat up in the spring. And so, yes, Dallas Wilson was torching the guys that probably are not going to be playing huge snaps for Florida this season. But I think this is what I keep coming back to, like a guy like Cormani McClain. I wouldn't be surprised if he had this huge year. I mean, he was an unbelievable high school prospect who obviously went through some, personal demons at Colorado, had to get his life back on track. Florida helped him do that. They took him as a walk-on, but obviously he was able to rehabilitate himself and get into a position where that talent is now able to sort of take over because he's fixed, what's going on in his personal life and in his priorities. Again, I mean, I go back, he had a pick 6 against Kentucky, looked pretty smooth. And he's a guy he's down the line. I mean, he's not number 1 or number 2 corner on this team. So to me, the roster just has way more depth to it. Whereas in years past, it was like, well, they might have 6 to 8 good players, and then there is a monumental drop off. It feels like it's a pretty tight roster now with not a lot of fat on it when you go 1 through 85.
I'll give my buddy Graham Hall of 24/7 Sports in Gainesville credit. He wrote a really interesting piece on Cormani McClain. It's funny you bring him up. I like Cormani McClain. I actually think he might start. I think he might be one of the Gators starting corners when all is said and done.
Well, he's probably the most physically talented.
Oh, I mean, in high school, the guy was a 5-star all-world player. He had the Colorado situation, and we all know how that went. He's in Gainesville now, and things appear to be very good for him. Another guy, look, you got to replace TJ Searcy and Jack Pyburn. And I hate that Pyburn's gone. I do. I wish he would have come back.
I do too. He would have been such a great Gator, legacy guy.
Right.
And it's just such a shame that got burned.
And there are interesting reasons as to why that may or may not have happened that we've talked about a bunch. But that does open the door for a guy like L.J. McCray. And L.J. McCray is a guy, 5-star from Daytona Beach, Mainland. We saw him a little bit last year. You would think you take a pretty big jump from your freshman to your sophomore year. In high school, he was one of the best players in the country. That's why he's a 5-star. I'm curious to see what they could do with him. You got George Gums back. You obviously got Caleb Banks back. You got Tyreek Sapp back. What do they do in the middle? Because there's issues in the middle without Desmond Watson and Cam Jackson and a couple of those guys. We talk about the Baylor transfer. That's the one part that concerns me a little bit. But outside of the interior defensive line, I think the defense is going to be very, very good.
And I like just one final thought on Florida, and before we hit our break and talk Jaguars in our next segment. The other thing I like about where Florida is everybody knows the expectation. They're not relying on 25 portal guys showing up and having to get acclimated to how Billy Napier and his staff go about things, how the strength and conditioning go about things, the nutrition, what's expected. I mean, the entire team basically came back. I mean, Napier said after his press conference after the Orange and Blue game, 98% of the players have been retained. And I think they lost maybe 1 or 2 guys after spring had wrapped up. Mm-hmm. But I don't think either one of them were incredibly difficult losses. They've added the Baylor defensive tackle, which certainly helps. So that's another thing. Florida now has some stability. And again, I don't know if Billy Napier is a great game day coach, but in terms of stability, those players, they know exactly what's expected of them. They know the systems backwards and forwards. And, I think that puts them in a position to where, I wouldn't take 8-4. I think it would be a decent season for them considering the schedule. But look, man, go win 11. Go do what the basketball team just did, who surprised everybody and went from being preseason outside the top 20 to winning the national title. I mean, to me, if you've got a quarterback that might be remarkable, it's hard for me to sign off on a 4-loss season.
If they win 11 with that schedule, Billy Napier will have a statue outside of Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. And look, I'm not saying it's impossible, but the story of the Gator season will be told very early in weeks 3, 4, 5, and 6 because they're going to beat to death Long Island or whoever they play.
Yep.
No offense to the USF alumni here in Jacksonville. They're going to beat USF. They're going to be 2-0 going to LSU. I don't think they go to the Bayou and beat LSU. I would
never
be surprised.
do. I mean, it's so rare when they get a win there.
And it's weird that game is so early. I hate that, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, that game
should
deserves
be Tennessee,
to be.
And then LSU should be where Tennessee is this year.
Right. I don't like going to LSU in September, but regardless, that's where they go. And I hate the fact that 7 days later, they go to Miami.
Right.
That's hard, man. You go to LSU, and then 7 days later, you're in Miami to play the Hurricanes. I can't imagine a scenario where they go 2-0 in those two games.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's going to take having elite talent and that elite talent playing well. And I think he's built the roster to where they're on the cusp of that. But are they there or not? Obviously, we won't know that until we get into September. But it's going to be a lot of fun. At least there's like optimism.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at least it seems like they don't have any, for the first time in many off seasons, it doesn't feel like there are gigantic question marks at position groups. Like there's answers everywhere. But again, a lot of it comes back to Napier and his ability to not cost them games like he did in Knoxville.
May 1st, 2024, the expectation was, when is Billy Napier getting fired? May 1st, 2025, we're actually having a legitimate conversation, not just an orange and blue goggles, but a legitimate conversation. Is Florida a dark horse for the college football playoff? And I think that's a fair conversation. That goes to show you the growth of this team in 1 year.
Yeah, well said. Absolutely. When we come back on the Frangie Show, we're going to switch it back to the Jaguars. We're going to talk about where the Jaguars stand in relation to the other teams in the division and the other teams in the league. Pete Prisco of CBS Sports, our good buddy, he'll join us tomorrow, put out his first power rankings of the season. We talked about the Athletics version yesterday, and they were wildly different. So we'll get into that, get Hackers' thoughts. You're listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. But when it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Rick Ballou, the truth teller.
You're popular with the public, but I don't have to tell you, I don't have a lot of friends in high places.
Rick Ballou takes you into the night.
Means I got to do a little acting. I'm cool with that.
No acting. Weeknights on 1010XL.
Fantastic news here. Due to overwhelming response, Beers Diamonds extending their amazing earring and bracelet sale for Mother's Day. Picking here. So now through Mother's Day, you can still save up to 40% off diamond earrings and diamond tennis bracelets. It's Beers' most ambitious offer ever, and response has been incredible. The corporate-owned big box stores can't touch these prices. Beers, locally owned, man. Say hi to the Lupos when you go over there. The freedom to give you pricing you deserve, highest quality diamond jewelry. Celebrate the mothers in your life with something they'll appreciate for decades to come. They also have special pricing on other Mother Day favorites, including colored gemstones, pearls, pendants, and fashion jewelry. Beards Diamonds, your destination for making this Mother's Day truly special. Don't miss Beards Diamonds' biggest sale ever. Up to 40% off Beards' already beatable value price. Now through Mother's Day at the Town Center. Only locally owned jeweler. It's Beards Diamonds.
It's Work Zone Awareness Week, Florida. Every year, lives are lost in work zones because of speeding and distractions. When you see orange cones, remember, slow down, follow the signs, and stay focused. Workers are counting on you to get home safely, and so are their families. Let's work together to prevent crashes and save lives. A safety reminder from the Florida Department of Transportation. Slow your roll. Safety's the goal.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. I always brag on what you guys have on road and off
off-road. But Greg, tell everybody about what's happening on the water, because you got loads of opportunity.
We do. We've got lots of boats in stock. We got the Honda 19-foot Fisher Runabout. We've got the Coach pontoons, all of them with that legendary Honda motor and legendary Honda reliability, which you always want when you're out on the water.
You could be cruising along the Intercoastal or out on the ocean, but check it out. Facebook page ready for all of you to see. Cycles of Jacksonville, or their showroom on Atlantic near Regency.
One of the best things about being on the First Coast is standing at the center of the golf world. Yes, it is. Brunch with a Tour.
Tour news, tips, and inside info. Brought to you by
Clearwater Irrigation. 8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
The restaurant of the day is the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill. Get a Greek Feast family combo meal tray with chicken skewers, gyro meat, gomades, and more. Feed 4 to 6 people for just $49.95. Feed 8 to 10 for just $99.95. The Great Greek Mediterranean Grill.
Frank Frangie here. I was talking to a buddy the other day. His HOA told him his old fence had to go. I said, man, call Coil Fencing. They've been around the block since 1927. Heck, they probably built half the fences in Jacksonville. They do it all. Tough chain link for security. Those fancy aluminum ones the HOA actually likes. Nearly a century of keeping yards safe and looking good. If you need a fence, call Coil. You can trust the folks at Coil. 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. COYLE Jacks.com.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
The best golfing weather is upon us, and the Hidden Hills Golf Club invites you to enjoy your next round of golf with us. Our welcoming atmosphere and love for golf keep our friends coming back. Check us out at hiddenhillsgc.com. You'll be glad you did.
What does it mean when someone says the continental United States?
It's always a good idea to compare homeowners' insurance rates when it's time to renew. Before storm season, log on to southernoak.com and get an instant quote or find an agent in your area.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The continental United States refers to all United States in North America. Hawaii is in the southern hemisphere.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Right now, they're on their way to disrupt your life, make you uncomfortable, and rob you. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. That's right. Summer heat and humidity are about to attack North Florida again. You know what to do. Call Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt's Heating and Air has a license to chill. When heat and humidity are attacking you, Mike Merritt provides a comfortable chill at a bargain price. Mike has been keeping North Florida comfortable for 30 years. Mike Merritt technicians are never paid commissions, meaning you'll never be pressured to buy something you don't need. And Mike Merritt knows cooling issues can arise anytime. They don't just happen during business hours. So Mike Merritt never charges overtime fees. When you need us, we're here for you. Remember, in the fight against heat and humidity, Mike Merritt has a license to chill. Visit merrittair.com. Florida license number CACO 50384.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. Following their series loss to the Boston Celtics, the Magic held media today, giving players and coaches a chance to reflect on the season they've had. Paolo Banchero put his name on the map this season as one of the fastest rising stars in the league. Banchero averaged 25 points this year, even while missing significant time due to injury. Although falling short, Banchero highlighted some of the positives the Magic achieved, knowing the future is bright for the team.
I would say just, how tough of a year it was, how many ups and downs there were, but also, how we responded, stuff that we went through, and just, how we were able to still make the best of it. I think, the guys in the locker room really, we really stuck together through some tough times and, got us to where we ended up.
It's 82 degrees at 5:03. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010 10XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Stanley Pools Thursday on The Frangie Show. Since 1988, the experts in pools, pavers, screen enclosures, it's Stanley Pools.
Welcome back to The Frangie Show. Frank is out. He'll be back on Monday, but we've got Hacker, we've got JJ, I'm Hays Carlyon, and we are going to talk some Jaguars now, Hack. And let's start it with the offensive line, and let's just go right to Wyatt Milam, who the Jaguars take in the third round, played fantastic at West Virginia at left tackle, and I think he's got a great chance to be the starting left guard in week one for this franchise.
Yeah, Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year. You know, on Hacker After Dark this week, I've had the opportunity to catch up with a lot of college coaches of these guys and a couple high school coaches of these guys. And I got a chance to talk with Wyatt Milam's high school coach from the state of West Virginia. And he told me a story about, and I know Milam's kind of endeared himself to Jaguar fans already. What'd he say to the media on Friday? He's not going to let anybody touch Trevor Lawrence. You know, Jaguar fans love to hear that. Well, in the movie The Blind Side with Michael Oher, right, there's that part in the movie where he gets called for excessive blocking. The referee didn't know what to do, right? It wasn't necessarily, unnecessary roughness. It was he blocked him too much.
Right.
So excessive blocking. I thought that was a Hollywood thing. No, apparently that's real. Wyatt Milam at his high school in West Virginia on 3 separate occasions got called for excessive blocking. He literally drove a guy to the sideline, basically past the cheerleaders, just blocking him. The whistle had already blown. The referee comes out and literally, like in The Blind Side, calls excessive blocking. And his coach was telling me he just threw up his hands. I mean, you're going to get angry at the kid. The kid just pile drive the defensive end 20 yards from scrimmage into the cheerleaders, basically. But yeah, excessive blocking is a thing. That's not just a Hollywood thing. That goes to show you the caliber of offensive linemen that Wyatt Milam potentially could be.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a great pick. So how do you see this offensive line now moving forward?
Well, I think that, you bring in 6 guys, which is wild. 4 pro free agents and 2 in the draft. If you're Luke Fortner, if you're Cooper Hodges, if you're Javon Foster, I don't know if any of those guys make the team. They're going to keep, 9 offensive linemen probably?
I had him keeping 10, and I had Fortner over Van Lannen, which I would now probably switch.
You have Hodges and Foster gone?
Gone.
Okay. Do you have all 6 new guys making the team?
I did, because I always look at it, particularly when it's a new administration, I keep everybody.
Yeah.
So I kept Monheim, even though he's a 7th-round pick.
Monheim's kind of like McCarry in the sense that he played everywhere at USC.
Yeah.
He had hundreds of snaps at, I think, 4 out of the 5 offensive line positions. And plus he's got the USC going for him.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's easy to say Walker Little, Wyatt Milam, Hainsey, McCarry, Anton Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's necessarily that cut and dry. Where does Fred Johnson fit into the equation? Where does Chuma Edoga fit into the equation? I think there will be some conversations there. I think there is legitimate battles to be had on the offensive line because if you're Gladstone and Cohen, you don't have loyalty to anybody. A lot of these guys were here, obviously, before you got here. Look at what they've done. They've traded Christian Kirk. They released Evan Ingram, Ronald Darby, Devin Duvernay. They didn't 5th-year option Devin Lloyd. They don't have loyalty to anybody. It's going to be an open competition, and I think that never speaks more loudly than when you look at that offensive line.
Yeah, anybody that could be moved was moved on from, basically. They would have moved on, I'm sure, from Savage, Gabe Davis. They can't. It would be too cost prohibitive from a cap standpoint to cut them, and obviously they don't have any trade value coming off, tough first years here. Now, maybe we've seen free agents in the second year play much better. Tayshaun Gibson was like that here. His first year, he was just sort of okay, nothing spectacular. And then his second year, he was bandied about in terms of being a Pro Bowl guy. So it can certainly happen. But, yeah, I think in looking at it, I think it'll be Little, Milam, Hainsey, McCarry, Harrison. But, yeah, I think Fred Johnson can't be counted out. Pete Prisco said to us a couple weeks ago he thinks Fred Johnson will be the week 1 left tackle.
Yeah.
So I just was surprised by that because his contract is like 1 year, $1.3 million.
And he signed like a week or 10 days after free agency. He was like one of the second tier guys.
Yeah,
when he
so
signed.
I'm not sure you really want that. I mean, again, the pay of a player doesn't always translate to the skill of a player, but it's not normally that big of a gap between, unless you're under the constraints of like a rookie contract.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Brian Thomas Jr. is woefully underpaid, but that's got all to do with where he was drafted, not his performance in the league. But when you're a free agent and your club allows you to test the market, as Philadelphia did, and then 31 other clubs obviously are able to bid on you and offer you a deal, and this is the best deal you get. I mean, to me, that says this is a at best swing guy. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good that they want Little and Harrison to be pushed. But I think it'll be I do think it's better. I mean, I go down all these positions. I mean, we can start at offensive line, but I think it's better. I don't think Hainsey is necessarily better than Mitch Morse, and I don't know that Makari's prime, his peak, will be what Brandon Sheriff's peak was in this league, but for where they were right now in 2025, Makari's probably better. And, I think Milam is going to really fit much better with what Liam Cohen wants to do than Ezra Cleveland.
Yeah.
And
you have Cleveland making the team, though?
I have him on the team, but, who knows if – my guess is they can probably move him. I mean, offensive linemen are scarce, and my guess is there'll be a team that Cleveland will be a good scheme fit for.
Compensatory seventh or something?
I think it would be better than that. I mean, I think it would be fifth round, something like that, depending on the desperation of the club.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of teams that don't love their guards. Now, again, Ezra is a acquired taste because he's undersized, and he's more of, are you looking for a guy who is super athletic that can get downfield on a screen, or are you looking for somebody that, can move a defensive lineman a yard to get what you need? So I think it'll be interesting. But again, looking at it, I like the running back group. I mean, I think the Tootin pick is really exciting. I think Allen, the seventh rounder, really has a chance more than the average seventh rounder. He's only 20.
That guy caught 64 passes out of the backfield last year at a running back position. I had his offensive coordinator on, Jeff Nixon from Syracuse. He loves the kid. And it was interesting because Jeff Nixon coached with Grant Udinski at Baylor. So he knows how Udinski might use LaQuint Allen because they're friends. I mean, 64 receptions in one college football season from a running back is absolutely wild. You take Tootin's touchdowns and Allen's touchdowns and you combine them from 2024, those guys scored 37 touchdowns combined. If you're looking for guys to find the end zone, you found a couple of guys. Now, Tootin's problem is the same thing Bigsby had. He fumbles. I think he had 9 fumbles in college, including 4 last year. Bigsby had that same issue, and we saw it manifest itself in the pros early on. That's the one thing that concerns me with Tootin. He's the fastest running back in the draft, but I don't care how fast you are if you don't hold on to the football.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to like what they've done at receiver. I mean, you lose Christian Kirk, but you bring in Travis Hunter. My guess is that's going to be an upgrade. And nothing against Christian Kirk. I would have been fine if he'd been on the team, but he's certainly not as electric as Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's interesting. And then tight end, you lose Evan Ingram. And tight end is a position you could probably argue isn't as strong. I mean, we'll see what Brenton Strange is. They signed 2 journeyman guys. So we'll see. But that's one where I think it's a tough – you certainly can't argue they're better. I think you just have to hope that the drop-off is minimal or none.
Maybe Justin Herbert's brother comes in and wows them at the tight end position.
Right.
You mentioned Gabe Davis.
Well, he's no Josh Peterson.
No, exactly, yes. You mentioned Gabe Davis. Liam Cohen didn't bring him up at the couple of press conferences.
Yeah.
We haven't talked much about him. Yet he did release a video, or somebody released a video that had him lifting weights, and obviously he looked pretty good. If you get anything out of him, right? He has 28 touchdowns before he even came to Jacksonville. I forget how many he had last year. He had 2 in one game. He also dropped 2 in the same game, which was interesting. But at minimum, he's got 30 touchdowns now for his career. I mean, we're talking about BTJ and Hunter and De'Ami Brown and Parker Washington. If you get anything out of Gabe Davis, isn't that just an added bonus? Because we haven't talked about that guy at all in the last 4 months.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, that's where we just don't know things were so dysfunctional last year, and it wasn't just a Balky problem. It was a Doug Peterson problem too.
Oh yeah.
And so you just I'm weighing, like, am I giving players too much of the benefit of the doubt for bad years because the offense was, very stagnant, not creative at all. Defensively, they had no idea. There was no connection with Ryan Nielsen, the coordinator. I mean, that thing got fractured awfully fast and never recovered. I mean, in terms of where he wanted to play guys and things like that.
The hockey line changes never did anything for you?
Yeah, so it's just complete roles changing.
Yeah.
I mean, forget even the substitution pattern. Guys being moved to different positions that made no sense at all. So in trying to kind of figure out what do they have, it's cloudy a little bit for me because I think it was so toxic last year. I think it hurt the growth of everybody. That's kind of what makes what Brian Thomas Jr. did, finishing third in the NFL in receiving yards as a rookie, having nothing around you at receiver the last month and a half of the season, not having your starting quarterback, having a head coach who was completely checked out, and a guy calling plays that, it's lucky to be in the NFL. In Prest, I don't even know what his job is with the Bears, but he's not. It's not even near what it was
passing
here.
game
coordinator. He's like probably the fifth or sixth guy, in terms of importance in their offensive room. So anyway, I feel myself becoming more optimistic now. A lot of that's Travis Hunter because I think he could be worth by himself 2 or 3 wins in terms of the plays that he might be able to make for this club. But a lot of it is I just think. I don't know how good Liam Cohen will be, and he's never done this before, and it now shifts to him. James Gladstone's job is pretty much done. He's 90% finished, so it's now shifting to Liam Cohen.
And I give Gladstone a standing ovation.
Oh, absolutely, I agree. But in looking at it, like, at least they'll all be rowing in the same direction. Like, there will be harmony in the building. Baselli will see to it, but it almost seems like they've also hired 2 guys in Cohen and Gladstone that they're seeking that out too. And that was never the case with Balky at all. And I think even towards the end, I think Doug Peterson just sort of got frustrated, and I just don't think he had the same passion for the job in year 3 that he had when he arrived.
It was interesting. I saw a side-by-side last Friday. You had Liam Cohen, you had Travis Hunter, and you had James Gladstone sitting at the podium. And on the very next slide, you had 3 months ago, it was Trent Baalke and Shad Khan with that infamous weird Zoom call. And it said, life comes at you pretty quick. I mean, that's what this offseason has been. From that weird Zoom call with Baalke and Khan to where we landed with this thing, getting the Heisman Trophy winner, getting James Gladstone, getting Liam Cohen. I know we got to go quick here, but as far as Gladstone goes, I'm sure you've done a lot of out-of-market interviews about the Jaguars since they drafted Hunter. I've done a few of them. I've gotten more questions about James Gladstone than I have even Travis Hunter or Trevor Lawrence or anybody. I think Gladstone, from a national perspective, I know Pat McAfee and his guys have the little thing they do they call him Jimmy Gladstone, and he's kind of a bit at this point. But I almost wonder if Gladstone's turning into kind of a national kind of star for the Jaguars because of his youth and his weird sayings and all that. I get a lot of questions about James Gladstone, or at least I have this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a paradox. And I tell you what, let's keep that going. We're going to talk some college football. Maybe we'll get that in our final segment. But let's keep this going. I want to talk more about James Gladstone and the paradox there, because I agree with you. I think you're either going to really like James Gladstone and like what you hear and like what he's done, or you're going to look at him and say, this is a complete inexperienced disaster waiting to happen. We'll talk about that on the other side. You're listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
There's a certain romance to radio play-by-play.
We need you to be all strong and hot.
Experience the most play-by-play sports on 1010XL.
This is Richard Miller with your Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles update. Our next Showtime in-store signing is on the calendar with Jaguar Monteric Brown on Friday, May 9th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. We'll have mini helmets and 8x10s available for purchase. Monteric Brown on Friday, May 9th at Showtime. Sports Cards and Collectibles. Update your collection.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm that has experience and capabilities to handle any legal issue a business is confronted with. Learn more about what they can do for you at jimersonfirm.com.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
At IHRS, we're passionate about solving your hair loss. We're clients too. With the latest hair transplant technology, FDA-approved laser hair therapy, and PRP, we guarantee solutions for both men and women. Call now for a free consultation and receive $250 off. Hair restoration is for me, and it can be for you too. Go to hairforme.com or call 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477.
Start your Saturday with a whiff of the great outdoors.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Loggeman, and we bring you the fresh air of the great outdoors.
On the Nimnit Outdoors Show, presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning on 1010XL.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. If you've ever wondered why some jewelry stores and department stores always have a sale going at 50 to 75% off, there's a good reason. Because most of the time, they're not real sales. The prices are marked up so they can sell the piece at a big discount and still make the profit they need. If you wanted to find a realistic sales event, the store wouldn't run a year-round sale, and the discounts would be a little more realistic. For example, Underwoods puts all of our diamond solitaire necklaces and ear studs on sale in May at 15% below the prices we sell at the rest of the year. So there's a genuine savings to the customer. We also take trade-ins. So it's the ideal time to buy for someone looking to grow their pendant or ear studs up to a larger size. Now at Underwoods, we don't run a lot of sales, but when we do, they're real and a good time to buy. So come see us at Underwoods, San Marco, Avondale, or the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental. With light sedation for cleaning, then deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, 2 locations in Jacksonville.
Enhance your home with Renewal by Anderson's superior craftsmanship and timeless design. Right now, buy 2 windows or patio doors and get the third at 60% off. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. This offer expires May 31st. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
David Lane here, and once again, I'm happy to share news of my success with back and knee surgeries at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. Whatever it is that's bothering you, take it from me. Simply set an appointment today at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist and let them help you get back to normal life. I'm certainly glad I did.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
Hey, Hicken here. So much of what makes us a family takes place in our homes. That's where Zero Res comes in. I love Zero Res, and this month get Zero Resified from Jacksonville's #1 carpet and air duct cleaner with May Mayhem. A 3-room special starting at $149, plus the 4th room is free. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean. Call Zero Res 28757 or go online at ZeroResJacksonville.com and say you want the Hicken special. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
For the greenest, luscious lawn on the block, choose the local legends, Roundtree Sod. Don't just settle for ordinary. Let Roundtree Sod deliver you a picture-perfect lawn. To get a free estimate, call 7414-SOD. 7414-SOD.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Stanley Pools Thursday on The Frangie Show. Since 1988, the experts in pools, pavers, screen enclosures, it's Stanley Pools.
Welcome back to The Frangie Show. Frank is out today. He'll be back on Monday. We were talking about James Gladstone, hacker, in our last segment. So let's continue, because to me, it is interesting. I agree with you. He's definitely caught the attention of the NFL nation, which, when you've got the Jaguars logo on your chest, is not the easiest thing to do.
No.
So he definitely has opened eyes and ears with his comments, how he communicates his message, but also his actions, because, look, it's not out of the realm of possibility for two totally different results to occur this season. If he's right about Travis Hunter, if Travis Hunter goes and gets 1,100 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns, and makes 35 tackles with 6 PBUs and 3 interceptions and maybe recovers a fumble, and the Jaguars win the division, which isn't, in my estimation, all that much of a crazy scenario, he might be executive of the year in his first year, because you'd have to give him a ton of credit for building a team that won 4 games last year. Again, they'd have to win the division. They're not going to give the NFL Executive of the Year to somebody who went 7-10, even though he drafted a two-way player that did well his rookie year. But to me, and then you've got the other part of that, which is the inexperience. What if he's wrong? What if the draft didn't line up, the free agent class doesn't come through, things like that. So it's interesting how wide the variable is here for James Gladstone, only being just a few months into the job, and really the job being, I'd say, 80% pretty much done.
Yeah. I mean, it's a prerequisite to talk about how young he is, right? He looks young. All right, now that we get that out of the way, because that's always the question you get. Man, he's 34. All right, great. The sayings, I think people really are looking like that's the thing with McAfee and his guys. Like, what is this guy talking about with James Gladstone? Like, I think the intangibly rich thing, I think he's kind of embraced that at this point. That's kind of what he's known for. The ecosystem thing, I like it. I learn something new every time I hear James Gladstone. But take it into any workplace here in Jacksonville. Odds are, people listening right now, we got people in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, like most general managers are in the NFL. If in your place of business, let's say a 25-year-old comes in and 2 months into the job just shakes things up. Now, whether it works or not is to be determined. But there's no doubt James Gladstone in 2 months on the job is shaking things up. And he is considerably younger than basically every other general manager. That is going to catch the attention. And if it works, like you said, well, then wait a minute. We might have the next Theo Epstein here. If it doesn't work, like some are banking on, then who knows what the future holds for him in 2 or 3 years. But I thought, Florio yesterday on Pro Football Talk, I don't know if you saw this. He was talking with Chris Sims, basically ripping Gladstone and the decision to trade, for Travis Hunter. And Florio, there's something with him in the city of Jacksonville.
Yes.
Like, Dempsey was one of the first guys nationally that had Florio on the radio. Back when I was Mike's producer on 930, 03, 04, we would have Mike Florio on. We're talking 21, 22 years ago. So you'd think there'd be at least a special spot for Jacksonville for him because of that. No. I don't know what we did to Mike Florio, but he is as negative a human being about Jacksonville, Florida, and the Jaguars as you possibly can be, and I've never understood it. So I take half of what he says with a grain of salt, but I do think he probably did get some texts from some upper management folks around the league that see this young, quote-unquote, whippersnapper in Jacksonville turning the league upside down with that Hunter trade 2 months into the job, and it probably did rub some people the wrong way.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. And again, what's interesting now is how the spotlight will shift, because the Gladstone, yes, I mean, obviously you still have the cut to the 53-man roster, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's really more of a Cohen thing than a Gladstone thing. I still think Cohen has the most power just because of how it was set up. I mean, I think he was the first hire. They wanted it to be coach-centric, and Gladstone then came on after, I think, with Cohen's endorsement. And so I think now as you get to it, it's really interesting because you'll have the cut down to 53. Maybe they'll do something at the trade deadline. They're certainly equipped to do that with all the third-round picks that they have, which is sort of, I mean, a lot of times you don't even have to give up a third-round pick. I mean, in 17, what'd they get Darius for, a fifth?
I thought that was the steal of the draft, them getting 2/3 next year. They have 4 day 2 picks now to offset not having a first.
Absolutely. So if you get to the deadline and you're right there at the top of the AFC South or a game back of Houston, I mean, there's a veteran guy available that's usually kind of high priced. The team that has him is kind of tired of paying him that wage, and they're not having the season they're having. And yeah, if they can get a mid-round pick so to have those thirds are great. The thirds would trump pretty much anything I think another club might offer that would be interested, because you don't normally see first or second round guys at the deadline. But it does give them some great flexibility. But now it's going to be really interesting. And we'll start to get a sense of this. We're going to be able to go out and see one day of rookie minicamp next week. That's on Saturday. So that'll be our first kind of glimpse at how Liam Cohen runs a practice, even though it'll obviously just be the young guys.
Yeah, no veterans. But still, you get to see it.
You get to see it. And then in OTAs, we're going to get to see workouts on May 19th, May 27th, June 2nd, June 5th. And then June 10th through the 12th. That's the mandatory minicamp.
Right.
That's got to be open per NFL rules.
And I would think they're actually going to have one this year. Remember the last couple of years, Peterson really didn't have a mandatory minicamp. He sent a lot of the veterans home. It was just the young guys.
Yeah, I would agree. I would think that this will be a 3-day deal with Liam Cohen. You kind of need to do that in your first year. And so, yeah, I would agree. So we'll start to get some sense. But now that really becomes the fascinating part of this. But yeah, I agree. I think Gladstone's done a great job. The other thing that's interesting about Gladstone is he does not shy away from putting pressure on certainly Travis Hunter. I mean, we talked about his comments the night of the draft after taking Travis Hunter and talked about, this is a player that can not only change a game, change a team, can change the trajectory of the sport. He then comes back the next day at the Hunter introductory press conference. So he's saying this a foot away from Travis Hunter, saying, the boundaries of this sport are meant to be challenged, and we're prepared to do that with Travis. I mean, bold stuff.
Oh, it is. And what did he say? The mantra, blank them picks. Because, look, if anybody, and he's right, if anybody is equipped to navigate not having a first-rounder, the Rams didn't have a first-round pick for like 7 years, right? And it didn't seem to bother them all that much when trades and stuff went through. So, no, I think James Gladstone has been terrific. It is interesting, as you said, Gladstone portion of the offseason, for the most part, the hay is in the barn. He's given Liam Cohen the pieces. Now it's Liam Cohen's job to take the pendulum and run with it, because you have now Campanile, Grant Udinski, all the coaching staff can finally get their hands on these guys. But I just did think it was interesting amidst the Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., the drafting of Travis Hunter, Liam Cohen, all this stuff that's going on here in Jacksonville. The question I've got the most this week is about general manager James Gladstone from outside media.
Yeah, there's no doubt he's got star potential. And again, we'll see. Travis Hunter will be a big part of that. Where that first-round pick is next year will be a big part of that. And you have to commend him. I mean, he understands. He has made a deal that next March and April, they may be the dumbest guys in the league. They may be getting criticism from not just us locally, but nationally about how could you possibly give up your first-round pick when you're the Jaguars and you haven't had much success and you inherited a 4-13 team. And now, I mean, I saw a mock draft today. I think it was ESPN that did it, and it had Cleveland going up to 1 to take Klubnik out of Clemson, but Cleveland had the 3rd pick and the 5th pick.
Oh, geez.
That would not be a good scenario.
No, that would be bad. Do you agree with what I said earlier? I mean, 1-12 next year, Cleveland wins the pick.
Yeah.
13-18, it's probably a wash. Anything 19 and north, Jacksonville wins the trade.
I think that's good. I would maybe say it needs to be better than even that, I would say. I mean, I think, and you're in a terrible division, and we'll talk more about this on tomorrow's show because I would really want to spend some time with it. Pete Prisco will join us to go over his power rankings and his thoughts about the Jaguars, but we'll get into where they stand in the division and elsewhere. But, I mean, I think the division, adding a player like Travis Hunter and just having Harmony finally back in the facility, I think they've got a chance to go win the division. So, I mean, for me, I'm kind of like, I don't think they'll make it as a wild card. I just think the AFC is too loaded. Two teams are not coming out of the AFC South. So I think you got to win the AFC South for me, for the trade to be a home run.
And if they win
now,
the
if
AFC,
they get close, then Travis Hunter is a star. Then I think it's a push. And if I would agree with you. If it's a top 12 pick, then the Jaguars have real problems.
And if they win the AFC South, the pick will be no better than 25, right? If they're a division champion. So then they win the trade easily. Because I'm telling you, Cleveland media, man, I was listening to them the day after the trade. They were just hooping and hollering. They're going to have 2 top 10 picks. They think they're going to be terrible next year, by the way.
Right.
Cleveland has no confidence in any of their guys either. But they think they're going to have 2 top 10 picks to go get Klubnik or whomever. It would tickle me to no end if the Jaguars win the division and that pick they think is going to be in the top 10 ends up being 25 or later.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to end this talk again, I don't think you can laugh off them catching Houston. I think Houston's gotten worse this offseason.
It got worse on the offensive line.
Yeah, and we talked about this the other day. This is Houston's schedule. We don't know the order, but we know the opponents. Their road schedule outside of the division: at Baltimore, at Kansas City, at the Chargers, at the Seahawks. They also host Denver, San Francisco, Buffalo, and Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I mean, they have every team in the division has the tough road because of the way it rotates, the AFC West and the NFC West being those two teams.
14 opponents.
2 divisions.
Yeah, 14 opponents are similar. Only 3 are different.
So the road is challenging for everybody. Now, the Jaguars also have a London game. So the Jaguars probably have the worst road slate in terms of travel. But all the teams in the division are going to have something similar. But it's that first place schedule that for the Texans might be their undoing if the Jaguars can get going, if Trevor Lawrence can, find his stride under Liam Cohen. So a lot of pieces to the puzzle. But yeah, I mean, I think they've got a chance to absolutely, and not just a puncher's chance, like a legit, I'd probably give Houston the 55% chance to win the division, but I'd put the Jaguars at 40 because I don't think the Colts and the Titans have much of a chance at all.
I think the Colts roster is very good with the exception of quarterback, which is a pretty important position.
Yeah.
I mean, Daniel Jones is going to be their starter. Houston made the choice, the logical choice, without any alcohol-related substances in their system, to replace Laramie Tunsil at left tackle with Cam Robinson. That is what they chose to do this offseason. And Tennessee rebuild with a rookie quarterback. So, no, I agree. The AFC South is the worst division in football. And I'm not sure it's particularly close. So it would not be hard to conceive a scenario where Jacksonville does indeed go from 4 wins to winning the division outright.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's been fun talking Jaguars throughout a lot of this show. But when we come back for our final segment as we wrap things up before we get it to Into the Night with Rick Ballou, want to get your thoughts, Hacker, on the NBA, the playoffs, the Lakers obviously out. Get your thoughts on your beloved Magic. So a lot of good NBA talk coming up as we wrap up this Frangie Show. You're listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
This is Brent Musburger's Visa in Action update on 1010XL. Brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Futures for the NBA championship winner, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the betting favorite to win this year's title. The number one seed out of the Western Conference, plus 140. Coming off a 4-game sweep of Memphis, and will face the winner of the Denver Nuggets LA Clippers series in round 2. The Celtics are the defending champions here, now at plus 195 to win the title. Boston will face either the New York Knicks or the Detroit Pistons in the second round. They're coming off a 5-game series with Orlando. Cleveland, after a 4-game sweep over Miami, is plus 500 to win the title, averaging 126 points per game in the postseason. The Golden State Warriors are plus 1,800. Minnesota, who just eliminated the Lakers, plus 2,000. Earn cash back on your gaming transactions with the GBank Signature Visa Card at vsin.com/GBank. I'm Tony Desiri with your Visa in Action update on 1010 XL.
Oh, no. No.
You okay in there?
Toilet's backed up. It won't flush.
Okay, I'll call the pros.
The tank isn't filling. The handle does nothing. Run for your life.
Don't be so dramatic. DuckDuckRooter will fix it.
For any plumbing issue, call DuckDuckRooter, your local plumbing professionals and proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. DuckDuckRooter.com.
When you're stuck, call the duck.
904-862-6769.
Fantastic news here. Due to overwhelming response, Beard's Diamonds extending their amazing earring and bracelet sale for Mother's Day. Hicken here. So now through Mother's Day, you can still save up to 40% off diamond earrings and diamond tennis bracelets. It's Beard's most ambitious offer ever, and response has been incredible. The corporate-owned big box stores can't touch these prices. Beard's locally owned, man. Say hi to the Lupos when you go over there. The freedom to give you pricing you deserve, highest quality diamond jewelry. Celebrate the mothers in your life with something they'll appreciate for decades to come. They also have special pricing on other Mother's Day favorites, including colored gemstones, pearls, pendants, and fashion jewelry. Beard's Diamonds, your destination for making this Mother's Day truly special. Don't miss Beard's Diamonds' biggest sale ever. Up to 40% off Beard's already beatable value price. Now through Mother's Day at the Town Center. Only locally owned jeweler. It's Beard's Diamonds.
Baseball is back. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball at the newly renovated Vistar Ballpark is your home for affordable family fun. Tickets start at just $5. Fireworks after every Friday home game and kids round the bases after Sunday games. Log on to jackshrimp.com for tickets and details. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
Mike Dempsey here. Look, you know, it's been 10 years that I've been vouching for my guys at Dandy Foods, and for a decade, I'm proud of my association with a local family business. They make a great product. I've made no secret that I was a customer long before Dandy ever came on board on 1010XL. But I'm thinking I'm due a little Dandy swag, maybe a little love. How about a Dandy t-shirt, a ball cap? So how about it, Thompson family? What do you got going on over there? In the meantime, I'm going to keep eating those delicious tuna salad sandwiches. So guys, keep helping me out and grab a Dandy sandwich today.
Don't miss the Bari Breakdown with Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays around 3:20 for the latest in sports injuries. From all the big names in the game, who's MIA, who's coming back from injury. Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays at 3:20.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
The aroma, flavor, the bliss. Nothing matches a great cigar, and now you can indulge yourself with My Father's Cigars. Come to Tobacco Cove on Saturday, May 3rd from 1 to 4 p.m. for an incredible cigar event featuring food, drinks, and specials on cigars. This is your chance to embrace the joy of My Father's Cigars at Tobacco Cove on Bay Meadows Road. More than a cigar store, it's an experience.
If someone you love needs a pick-me-up, then it's time to get serious about it and send them a Kuhn floral arrangement. RJ here with 1010XL, and you'll be assured of a quality delivery. That's for sure. Log on and order online at KuhnFlowers.com.
If you're heading to the Og or you're already part of the nation's oldest, don't forget to drop into Sunset Grill. For over 30 years, serving up great chowder, seafood, wings, and cold beer. Sunset Grill, somewhere on A1A, St. Augustine Beach.
Join us at Miller Electric May 29th from 4 to 7 p.m. We're on the lookout for talented people, from entry-level to experienced electricians and foremen, security system installation and service technicians, fire alarm system service technicians, and both senior and junior VDV technicians. This is your chance to get hired on the spot. Meet the managers, indulge in delicious food, and snag some awesome giveaways. Don't miss out on this electrifying chance to power up your career. Miller Electric, May 29th, 4 to 7 p.m., 6805 South Point Parkway.
This is Corona Premier. It's the light beer you didn't know was a light beer. Until right. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Now, Corona Premier, an unexpectedly light beer.
Corona Premier, a light beer with just 90 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs. The premier side of light. For those that are active and on the go, pick some up the next time you're heading out to enjoy the day under the sun. Corona Premier, an unexpectedly light beer.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web, precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
All right, we've had a fun Frangie show today. Got to talk to Lee Smith, the executive director of the Players' Championship. We talked all sorts of golf. Byron Nelson is this week. Scotty Scheffler off to an incredible start. So he might get his first win of the year. We talked a little bit about the Ryder Cup. Lee doesn't seem to be overly worried yet about the American side of things. And we talked about how the rest of the major season really sets up well for Masters champion and Players champion Rory McIlroy. An incredible start for him. We talked a lot about the Jaguars, Travis Hunter, James Gladstone, how we see that offensive line. I talked about a little bit about the Gators in terms of the roster. So covered a lot of ground today, Hack, on the Frangie Show. I want to get your thoughts on the NBA. We don't talk, Frank and I don't really watch a ton of the NBA, so I always like to take advantage when we have you in. Lakers obviously lose last night. That's the massive story. What did you take out of that? Is this it for LeBron? Who's to blame? How did you see that?
They don't have anybody in the front court. That's a big problem. Anthony Edwards is the best player in the NBA that nobody talks about. If Anthony Edwards was in New York or Los Angeles, he'd be Luka Doncic. But because he's in Minneapolis, he probably doesn't get the recognition he deserves. But that's going to change pretty soon because he is an incredible player, the former University of Georgia prospect. And look, the Lakers will be fine. I think LeBron comes back next year, but the Lakers have to do something because there was one situation in a game in this series where J.J. Redick played 5 guys the entire 24 minutes of the second half. Did not bring anybody off the bench in the third quarter or the fourth quarter. I can't remember that ever happening in an NBA game. I'm sure it probably has at some point, but you play the same 5 dudes for an entire half without bringing any substitutions in. It was just a bad series for the Lakers, a bad matchup. Anytime you're a 3 and you lose to a 6 and 5, it's pretty disappointing.
Does it cloud how you view the Luka trade at all?
No, I mean, the Lakers fleeced Dallas in a big, big way. Luka's great. Again, Luka is not a front court guy. I think the Lakers will be fine if they get some help at the 4 or 5. When they traded Anthony Davis, they tried to bring in Mark Williams from Charlotte. Did not work out for whatever reason. And after that, they just didn't have anybody in the front court. And that cost them big time in a series against Minnesota.
And then give us an update on your beloved Magic. I mean, they obviously lost to Boston, and it seems like it's got to be frustrating because it seems like everybody knew their issues going into this year. They didn't do anything to fix it, and they ended up with the same result.
I was mad on Tuesday night, but it took me about 30 minutes to realize that Travis Hunter was a Jaguar and the Gators just won the national championship in college basketball, so I slept a little easier after that. Look, if you would have told me on Halloween or when the season started in mid-October that Paulo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Mo Wagner, and Jalen Suggs, arguably their 4 best players, were going to miss a combined 150-plus games because of injury. I would have thought, they're going to be in the lottery. The fact that they made the playoffs, won the play-in, and actually won a game off of Boston is pretty impressive. We never got to see this team's full potential because they were injured, and it was just a horrific injury situation the entire year. Having said that, I'm happy the season's over because I got tired of seeing them miss threes. They have got to find some shooting. Jeff Weltman, their GM, has one summer to make a couple of trades, do whatever you need to do, draft Walter Clayton, whatever you need to do to bring in shooting. And you have one summer to do it. And if you don't do it, and there's the same miserable shooting team in October that they were in April, he's going to be on the hot seat in the middle of next season.
It'd be fantastic if they draft Walter Clayton Jr. Is there a veteran guy that you think this offseason they can try and get to help with that?
There's a lot of teams that just don't have a lot of money because of the salary cap. A lot of money was spent last year. There's only like mid-level exceptions. It's going to have to come via trade. You hear rumors about Trae Young in Atlanta. Could that potentially work in Orlando with Paolo and Franz? You hear rumors about Anthony Simons in Portland, maybe Cam Johnson in Brooklyn. They just got to find a shooter or probably 2 shooters. I don't care how they have to do it. In the words of Paul Blake of the Texas State Fighting Armadillos, spit in their ear, tell them a story, entertain them. You got to find another NBA team that you can get some shooting from no matter what it costs. Outside of Paolo, Franz, and Jalen Suggs, I'm willing to trade anybody at this point to bring a shooter or 2 to Orlando, because if you don't, Paolo's going to get mad and Franz is going to get mad, and we've seen players finesse their way out of organizations. You don't want to upset those young 20 guys. You want them there for a long, long time.
A couple game 6s tonight. Who do you like in Knicks going to the Pistons and Nuggets at Clippers?
The Pistons arguably could have already won this series, and they're down 3-2. I mean, they lost heartbreakers in games 3 and 4. Their 2 wins came at the Garden. I would expect Detroit to win this game and to force a game 7. And the same thing with the Clippers Nuggets. I mean, you want to talk about Heartbreak City. Aaron Gordon with the dunk at the buzzer to beat LA in game 4. I don't think the Clippers really recovered from that in game 5. I kind of like Denver tonight. I mean, I don't know how you recover from losing a game at the buzzer like that. So give me Denver tonight and give me Detroit.
And you think LeBron plays next year?
I think LeBron plays next year. Next year might be his last year, but I do think LeBron plays next year.
All right, great stuff. It's been fun. Let's now welcome in Rick Ballou.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
What's up, Rick? What's
going on?
Isn't it crazy how James Gladstone has become one of the most talked about figures in the nation when it comes to the NFL? Yeah. That's hard when you represent the Jags.
It is, and it's like a total identity change. Yeah, he's a big part of it. Obviously, Travis Hunter is taking the NFL by storm, but I'm going to talk about this a little bit tonight as well. I wonder if this is kind of the new wave of things. We saw the Billy Bean Moneyball, and then that became, analytically speaking, so important in every sport. This is different. The language that he uses, the vocabulary that he uses, I think old school football people are like, what is he talking about? Because football's meat and potatoes. Well, he's not meat and potatoes. He's an intelligent guy. So right now he's a rock star here in town, but he's going to be under a microscope. And I tell you where the difference is. I've said it forever. I think for the most part, the national media is awful when it comes to Jacksonville. They are so uninformed. It's unbelievable. There are exceptions, and we know who they are. That's not going to be the case anymore. They're going to be all over this team now because there's going to be more pressure on Trevor. They're going to be on Hunter. And there's going to be people out there that will build up James Gladstone, but there will be people up there that can't wait to bring him down if things do not improve.
Without a doubt. And now it's interesting because the spotlight kind of shifts to Liam Cohen.
Yeah.
As we get a chance to, over these next couple weeks, get out there and sort of at least make some observations on how Liam Cohen conducts practice.
Well, I love what they've done. I spent all offseason saying fix the offense, forget about the defense, go offense, offense, offense. This team averaged 18.8 points a game, 3.8 points in the first quarter. They were asleep at 1 o'clock offensively. 6 new offensive linemen, skill position guys, plus what we believe is going to be a much better coaching staff. So
you hope it all adds up.
Absolutely. What's coming up tonight?
We got a lot of that tonight, a lot on the Jags. Got a couple of other things that I'm going to introduce, different topics that I think our listeners will enjoy. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. We'll be listening. Thanks so much, Rick. Hack, what do you have coming up? Give us a teaser.
Former Jaguar wide receiver Cecil Shorts, former Florida Gator All-American tight end Ben Troop. We got a loaded Hacker After Dark beginning at 8 o'clock.
That is awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
It's
Hays.
been a lot of fun. All right. For the absent Frank Frangie, for Hacker, for JJ, I'm Hays Carlyon. Thank you for listening to The Frangie Show. Into the Night with Rick Ballou is up next on 1010XL.